I wanted to talk about the Claris Connect. Connect of the month is Outlook, but yeah, specifically events, because there are quite a lot of different aspects of the Outlook connector, but I just wanted to focus on the events and basically, calendars. So let's look at first, actually, I want to look at this event sending. So there's one trigger and two actions that are related to events. So this is the action, it's called create event. And I'll just show you. So I created this is like the meetings database, sample template database. And I just created this button so that when you have an event here, I wanted to go ahead and schedule it in Outlook. And I had to, this isn't perfect because I had a little bit of trouble working this date out, and we can look at that a little bit more. But so here's my calendar here. So let's see, we'll just go ahead and run it. So I click my button. Let's make sure. Yeah, 4 seconds ago. Okay. And there's my event in Outlook. Now, of course, you can see, yeah, the date is wrong. And that is because I hard-coded the date in here. So, and this is something that I think, with other kind of calendar connectors, we're doing the same thing. We have to get it, and I'm forgetting the name of this specific date time format here, universal something, but that's the format that Outlook is expecting. And then of course, I'm just sending over my data and it's coming over with the fields like, I'm sending over the date and the end time and the start time. So I have to convert those, and I couldn't, this is something I was trying to do this with the format date function, but I couldn't find the right one here that I needed. And maybe I just didn't spend enough time working on it. I was just trying to throw this together. So maybe somebody will know the answer to that. The other option would be converting my date or my timestamp in FileMaker, using a custom function or a function, and then passing it in my parameter and creating my event. But when you create an event, you can, enter the subject, the event, start time, end time, reminder. If it's an all-day event, you can push the location, a URL if it's an online meeting, and the email, the organizer of the event, and then an attendee list in there as well. So one thing that struck me about this, and that's important to know, is that I can't choose which calendar I want to add the event to. It's always going to add to my default calendar. So in Outlook, I have some other calendars here, but the one called calendar is my default calendar. And so anytime I push anything to there, it's always going to automatically just show in that calendar. And you can change your default calendar. This is the Outlook help article for how to set your default calendar. I didn't do any of this. I didn't change it, but I think this is one kind of drawback, because if you want to be able to write a flow that might push events, to different calendars based on some condition, you can't really do that. I'm only pushing to this one calendar. So I actually opened a while ago, I added a request on the Claris community, and I can put a link to this in the chat or in our follow-up email, but this was a request I put in. So it would be cool if people wanted to vote on that. And yeah, so that's something important to know, is it's really just working with the default calendar. So let's see, so that's pushing events to Outlook. And the next part I wanted to test out, and so that's the one action, was receiving. So when I add an event to Outlook, I want to be able to, push it to FileMaker. And for this, I set up kind of like this little Outlook alerts portal. And you'll see it's actually already working, because when I clicked this button to push my event into Outlook, it created the event. Then it triggered this other flow that said, oh, and a new event was created. So it's kind of a cool little cycle right there. This is my confirmation that that event was scheduled. And the way that flow works is similar. And this one's a little bit interesting because it actually requires 2 steps. So the event created is the trigger, and that, as you'll see, the data that you get back when that's triggered is really minimal. So this is more typical of a webhook payload, where you're not getting a whole lot of data. You're just getting like the ID. So basically you receive this, and then you're going to go and do a poll, to get information based off of this ID. And that's what we're doing in the find event by ID call. So the only parameter there is the event ID. So I'm passing the event ID I got from my trigger, and then that returns a lot more information. So I've got the original start time zone, end time zone, reminder, subject, importance, sensitivity, a lot. This is the full set of fields that could be returned related to an event. So this is what I'm using then to push data into FileMaker. So I'm then pushing, just this message field that has the name of the subject and the web link. Again, it's kind of the same thing with the timestamp, because what it will return is it always returns, I think, at the UTC time zone. So I would have to convert this, if I want to display it in my, in FileMaker. Likely you want to convert it so it's readable. So that's something that, I think could be part of these workflows, is how do you deal with time, converting your timestamps. So just to see this one in action, I'll just add another new event and save that. And there it is right there. So, so that flow ran really quickly, and that one works well. I thought, another limitation, I'll say it, is that, I like this flow. I like seeing the events, come through, but then what happens if I delete this event or I change it? I can't, there's no trigger related to that. So when I delete this event, I can't, there's no event. I mean, there's no trigger for that. So I can't update my FileMaker database unless I was doing some polling to go and check. And so I think that would be another nice thing. And maybe I'll add another feature request for when events are changed and when events are deleted, because it'd be nice to have a couple more triggers to work with. So you could have some full, functionality to be able to keep, alerts or in sync between your FileMaker solution and your Outlook calendar. And that was it. Does anybody have any questions or comments or want to look at that date thing with me?